Arise, O compatriot of our fatherland.
Okay, don't go again. Seconds. 1, 2.
Presented in cabinet today, which were approved. Please seek your indulgence to excuse him. Thank you very much.
Cabinet for an approval for the award of contract for the provision of training, logistics, operational equipment and maintenance support for government furnished sites, equipment and personnel under the Integrated National Surveillance and Waterways Protection Solution Infrastructure in Nigeria. And you know that this is also what we call Deep Blue Project. That's the project that the President launched some months ago, either May or June, I can't remember now. In all of it, the contract was awarded at 6,347,967,644 Naira 21 kobo, inclusive of 7.5% tax for a period of 2 years. Just important to say that the Cabinet was briefed that there's huge improvement in the security in our waterways now. And we hope that it will continue as we progress. Thank you very much. Why I have a problem with that, I can't tell you. There's a saying in my village is that if the mouth goes to war first, by the time the leg comes, they will arrest the leg, they will capture the leg. I can't tell you what we're doing, but you can see there's an improvement. One of the improvements is that we have what we call rail bus. A rail bus can operate on a track and on ordinary ground. So the job of the rail bus is to be running on the track regularly. Anytime it runs it sees that a train is approaching, to just get out of the track to the road or to the mainland and get back to the track. The essence is to monitor people who have contact with the track at any point in time. So if we had it at the time the Kaduna explosion happened, it wouldn't have happened because it would have passed a few minutes before that train would have come. That's one of them, but I can't tell you the rest. But I can tell you that there was a memo that came to Cabinet. The Cabinet asked us to go back. We returned that memo to the Cabinet, which gives you a surveillance camera of all the tracks as far as Kaduna Abuja is concerned. Thank you. I said when we get the approval, there will be a surveillance camera from the beginning of Kaduna to the end of to Idu. Until they approve it. We already have a project we call the Deep Blue Project. This is more like a recurrent expenditure for the Deep Blue Project. If you stop purchase of petroleum, payment of allowances, and the size that you need to insert cameras and all that, then it won't function. So that's what this seeks to achieve. Everybody knew that the President went to Lagos to launch what they call the Deep Blue Project, which is a national surveillance security project for the waterways. This is just money to fund the current expenditure. That's what we've just done. There's what they call Deep Blue Project, research. The President commissioned it the same day the President commissioned Lagos Ibadan.
No, you say there is huge improvement on our waterways.
Security improvement. That's why I said, and I told you, that's why I said, we already have a Deep Blue Project, that is security infrastructure on our waterways. That is the result for which we have had the security improvement in our waterways.
For anchoring the meeting, and to my colleague, thank you for ceding this time for me. I really have to rush off also. Today, we presented to Council for information and discussion the third quarter GDP report for 2021, which was released on Thursday last week by the National Bureau of Statistics. The results shows an improvement from the contraction that we witnessed in 2020. Recall that we had negative growth in Q2 and Q3 2020. And this negative growth we entered into a recession technically and then exited recession by the fourth quarter of 2020. So this report shows that we now have 4 consistent quarters of growth from Q4 2020 to Q3 2021. The GDP third quarter report shows a growth of 4.03% in the third quarter 2021 compared to a contraction of minus 3.62% in the third quarter of last year. So part of the economic activities that were the major drivers of growth within this reporting period is services, which grew by 8.41%. Growth was also in the service sector was largely driven by better performance in the rail transport sector, pipeline sector, air transport, financial institutions, road transport sector, water transport, as well as trade. Agriculture also grew by 1.22%. This is a slight dip compared to the 1.3% in the second quarter of 2021, and the reason for the dip has to do with a slight slowdown in agricultural activity in some parts of the country due to security. The growth in agriculture that is reported in this quarter is largely driven by crop production. Industry also, the growth in industry has been consistent, but we have seen a slight slowdown compared to the last quarter 2021. And the contraction of the industry is driven by the poor performance of the crude oil and natural gas sectors, coal mining, quarrying, minerals, as well as oil refinery. The Q3 GDP report indicates that the oil sector's contribution to the GDP today stands at 7.49%, while the non-oil sector contribution to the GDP stands at 92.51%. This indicates that the Nigerian economy is truly very, very diversified, with the oil sector contributing just 7.49%. So factors that are responsible for this growth include the commitment of the government to the continued containment of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the implementation of fiscal and monetary measures to support businesses contained in the economic sustainability plan, and also the improvement that we've witnessed in the rail transport sectors, pipelines, air transport, road transport, as well as water transport, and improvement also in the transportation and in the free movement of people as well as goods, as the containment measures have largely been really improved. We've seen also improvement in the financial services sector with higher supplementary incomes compared to 2020. There's been improvement in electricity generation and distribution during this quarter, as well as improvement in water supply, sewage and waste management, and remediation activities. There is also indication of higher trade activities, which has significantly improved compared to 2020 because of the containment measures that slowed down trade significantly. Also reported is the inflation numbers for the month of October 2021 at 15.99%. This is consistent with the growth that we have, with the decline that we have seen in inflation from April 2021 to date. We expect this decline to continue through the rest of the year and also throughout the year 2022. On the other hand, we have seen an adjustment that has been done in the inflation, largely caused by the improvement in the food basket, in the inflation mix, and this is largely due to the agricultural harvest, which constitutes 50% of the basket in inflation. What the thing is say that Again, the Nigeria economy is growing, and right now we have witnessed 4 consecutive quarters of GDP growth. And we've also said that we aspire to continue to push this growth to the point when the growth supersedes the growth in our population, because that's the time that people will actually feel the benefits. So we're pushing the bar. At the third quarter of 2021, the average annual growth is now 3.3%. Our population growth is roughly about 3.2%. So we still need to do a lot more for people to feel this. But the fact that the service sector is now in positive territory, it also means that people will actually begin to feel the difference, because that's where it's the service sector that has the first direct impact on people. So it is transport, it is hotel services, air services, health services. When those sectors begin to improve and are turned positive, it counts on people. And also, in the case of Nigeria, because agriculture is very important, the growth of agricultural sector is also important for people to feel the difference, because agriculture employs a large number of people. So at an increased growth rate of 1.22%, we still need to do much more in expansion of growth in the agricultural sector. I think the next set of questions on the 5,000 Naira transport subsidy that we are trying to work out to provide a succor for the eventual removal of the fuel subsidy. So the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act, has a provision that all petroleum products must be deregulated. And in the 2020 budget, we made a provision to assume that at the maximum, by the end of June, we must exit subsidy. So this last fact, the subsidy cost to the Federation was 243 billion. So if you look at a cost of about 250 billion per month, and it has been increasing consistently, so we got something like, we're expecting something like 120 billion per month from NNPC. Now we're getting to a point when NNPC is remitting near zero. And if we don't stop, we'll get to a point when they'll be giving us a bill to say, you have to actually pay me this for managing the fuel provision in the country. So if you take 250 billion times 12 months, that is about 3 billion Naira. If we don't remove, 3 trillion Naira. If we don't remove that, that is what is costing us. This is money that we can use to apply to health and to education. The intervention we want to provide, so we said between 20 to 40 million people, and there's still a lot of work going on within a committee that is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, with the states as members and a few of us ministers as members. So we have to have a landing as to the exact number, between 20 to 40. We already agreed it will be 5,000 Naira. And we also agreed that the remittances have to be done digitally. So the e-Naira will help, but also so the various payment platforms that are currently available. What we will not do is paying people in cash. So it will be transfers that people will receive through one kind of electronic money or the other. And it's meant to be for a period of 6, 9, or 12 months. So these are things that we're still negotiation, because it's still money that will have been for the Federation account. So everybody that is a member of FAC has to agree on the numbers. The maximum will be 12 months. The minimum will be 6 months. We thought it was important to do this to give people a chance to adjust before the other support measures that federal government is working on materialize. And that is the provision of alternative to PMS, which is CNG, that is having mass transit vehicles converted to CNG. And also the bringing on stream of petroleum refineries, including the Dangote refinery, so that it reduces even the need to import the PMS in the first place. So that's the logic behind targeting the middle of next year. This money is meant to provide relief to the very poor and the very vulnerable. And from the experience that we have had on the conditional cash transfer, it shows that that 5,000 naira that some people think is small actually makes a difference to families. It helps them to provide not only their basic needs, but we've seen women who are caregivers of these families actually start doing small trades, and they're able to maintain themselves thereafter. So in a way, it is not just consumption, it also helps to improve the productive activities of people that are at the bottom of the pyramid. I remember during the COVID-19 pandemic, we had more people becoming vulnerable, especially in the urban areas. So we're not covering just the rural poor, but also the urban poor. And this exercise of the registration will be led by on the part of the federal government. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs has that responsibility. They're already developing this register. But the states are also going to be actively involved in providing this electronic register through which these payments platforms through which the transfers will be undertaken. And also, how long will this intervention last? Okay, 6 months to 12 months. And the committee is still working, so we'll have a landing very soon on how long, how much, and then the procedure on a state-by-state basis.
Do you also consider that 5,000 that was feasible and adequate for people, for the less vulnerable, in 2020 or even 2019, the same amount is no longer, adequate for such families because of the high rate of food now and all of that? Everything has really gone up. So 5,000 still be okay?
Well, what government is providing is support, and support to augment what the families already have. We wish we can do more, but we are also limited in terms of the maximum of what government can afford to do at any point in time. And then there's nothing stopping the states to add more than the 5,000 that is going to come from the Federation Pool. So some states might decide to do more where they can afford it, but federal government right now is just looking under this committee, looking at 5,000 naira per month. The 10 billion of the local vaccine is being provided for, is been actually disbursed to the Ministry of Health, and there was a discussion on how best to proceed with the partner that the Ministry of Health selected. I think it's May and Baker Pharmaceuticals, that is the partner. They're working towards meeting some of the requirements, so that process is still ongoing. Yes.
Thank you.
Gentlemen of the media, today in Council, Civil Aviation presented two memoranda. The first one is approval for the award of contract for the provision of automated civil aviation regulatory equipment, including software support and training, which will be located in Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. In summary, this is a software that will allow all of the activity of civil aviation regulation to be done electronically on one platform, including payments, including follow-up on personnel licensing, their medicals, the economic regulation of airlines, safety regulation of airlines, and all other businesses within the envelope of civil aviation will be monitored by this single software. It is called the truth machine, in quotation, in Europe, because all of the truth of regulation of civil aviation will appear on this platform. It's an extremely important software that the world has now come to terms with, and is going to be, the contract was given to Mrs. Arif Investment Nigeria Limited, who are representatives of MPIC, GmbH. This MPIC are the creators of this software, one of its kind in the world, and the sum of 1,492,520,325 naira even which will be including 7.5% VAT and completion period of 6 months. So that's the first memorandum. This memorandum is followed by another memorandum. So that has been approved, and this one also is approval of the outline business case for the establishment of the national carrier. And this is the 6th time that the memorandum appeared before council, and 6th time got lucky to be passed by council. The very quick, maybe perhaps structure of the proposed airline: government will be owning not more than 5%. Not more than 5%, below 5%. So 5% is the maximum equity that government will take. Then 46% will be owned by Nigerian entrepreneurs, 46%. So if you add that, it's 51%. So 51% majority shareholding by Nigerians. And then 49% will be held by strategic equity partner or partners that will be sourced during the procurement phase, which is the next phase. This airline, if started and within the first few years, will generate about 70,000 jobs. These 70,000 jobs, they are higher than the total number of civil servants that we have in the country. Its importance had been well discussed, so I will not go back to it. You had discussed it severally also on various fora as to the need for it. But one important item is the AU Agenda 2063, which speaks to integration of Africa, which speaks to the commerce and trade within Africa, that is intra-Africa, and to which also another flagship project of AU Agenda 2063 called the Single African Air Transport Market, SATEM. Now, the only way, the quickest way that you can integrate Africa is by air. Because if you want to interconnect all the 54 nations of Africa via rail or via road or waterways, which is even impossible, the quantum of money that you need to do all of this, the time it will take to develop this infrastructure, and as well as the maintenance cost is almost prohibitive. It's doable, it's time taking, but with aviation, within a year, you can, once the right policy is in place, like SATEM, you can connect Africa, and then of course the needed integration will happen, part of AU Agenda 2063. So these are the two memoranda that was submitted, and gladly it was passed by council. Thank you. The name of the airline is Air Nigeria, of course. Nigeria, sorry, because I beg your pardon, please. Nigeria Air, which of course, if you remember back in time, this was subject to national debate, and 400,000 people participated to choose the name, the color, the logo, everything. And it was produced that time. And it was launched also in Farnborough as far back as 2018. So the business case is a public document. It will be on our website. You can download it and we can give you copies. And this airline would pick up and start, by God's grace, on or before April 2022. Thank you very much. Very much indeed. The question that was asked whether the 49% of the airline, whether I am considering or whether we are considering to give it to international airlines. Perhaps you missed it. We said the 49% is reserved for strategic equity partner or partners, and that included foreign airlines, international airlines, and so on. Those partners, they could be also financial institutions. So it's left. Once we go to the market, we would pick the best in accordance with our laws. And then the question to April's start date. I'm sure the question should have been whether it is sacrosanct. Well, what is in the business case is that the airline will pick up at that period April 2022, if all things go equal. Since it's an outline of the business, we'll follow the outline of the business. It's our hope and desire that it starts on that April. It can't be sacrosanct because it's dependent upon other factors, since we are going to market right away. Thank you very much.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.